Loaded carries, strength and stability, building you a core of iron. Let's get right into it. All right, Alex, here we go. So loaded carries are one of those exercises that can be utilized for many different purposes. It can be utilized for core stability. It can be utilized for conditioning. It can be utilized for endurance, all of those things. Today, we're going to be focusing in on a couple different variations that you can incorporate into your training to build up the stability of your core from every single direction, right? So a little quick anatomy lesson for you. Your core stabilizes 360 degrees in all planes of motion, right? So think about going forward and backward. So that's flexion and extension. So your core, what it's doing is stabilizing in that flexion and extended position and reducing motion in that flexion and extended position. So for example, I can bend you forward here, right? And if you notice, he's moving from his hips and not so much from his core. So right here, bang, bang, that would be from his spine, which is not what we're looking for. So the other plane of motion here is rotation. Very simple, this way, right? Think about rotating, think about if you play baseball, think about if you play tennis, any sort of rotation, your core stabilizes in that position as well. The other, lateral flexion, side to side. So with those three motions, you're thinking about your abdominals, you're thinking about your obliques, and then you're thinking about your ability to stabilize rotation, okay? So those three planes of motion are what we're gonna be focusing on today, training with a loaded carry. So first and foremost, thinking about anti-flexion, anti-extension. What we wanna be focusing in on is carrying something in front. Obviously, with any sort of weight on your body and moving, you're going to have to stabilize in all planes of motion. But the idea is we want to focus in on the majority of the work going into that resisting movement going forward. So, Alex here, pick this thing right up, hold it in front. This is fairly heavy. It only weighs about 6,000 pounds. Perfect. So in this position, we're just going to take a nice little walk. Alex has to resist that motion going forward and backwards, stabilizing his core, lats nice and tight, core engaged, not leaning back too much. 3, 2, 1, drop it. Good. Beautiful. Perfect. So whenever you're trying to work on that anti-flexion, anti-extension, holding that weight in front, it can be a medicine ball, it can be a kettlebell, it can be a dumbbell, it can be goblet walks, right? Anything where that weight is loaded in the front of your body and you need all the musculature in your core to resist motion going this way, all right? So now, what you can also do, and I'll demonstrate this one, is if you offset the load a little bit, anything off of your center of gravity will now start to be able to kind of work a little bit of that anti-rotation and anti-lateral flexion, okay? So if you're here, and it goes up to the shoulder, and you have to stabilize, this weight wants to drive me sideways, and I have to use my core to resist, all right? Easy peasy. Finally, what you can do if you don't have a big medicine ball like this is simply just use a kettlebell like I mentioned before. It was one kettlebell. Alex, I'll have you demo. Just got to hold it. We can work anti-flexion and extension by holding it out in front. And what you can do is, yeah, there you go. Make it even more difficult by bringing it farther in front. That means all the musculature in your core has to stabilize that weight from pulling you forward. Rest. How to get more into the obliques. Now you can do it's called a suitcase carry. Same idea. As you're walking, as you're carrying the weight, this weight is going to force you to try to bend towards that weight. And so now you're going to feel more of that outside oblique stabilizing. You're going to feel more of that weight trying to rotate you. So this is great for anti-rotation as well as that anti-lateral flexion and getting into that oblique. Rest. Perfect. You can put that down. So guys, as we kind of talked about today, loaded carries are great for stability. But if you're a strongman, if you're someone looking to get into conditioning, you can kind of follow a couple different rules for your loaded carries. You can go heavy for shorter distances to kind of increase the amount of strength you have, the amount of overall capacity you have at carrying a heavier weight. Or you can treat them as a circuit, go longer distances for lighter weight or shorter rest periods. So loaded carries are fantastic exercises for core stability, overall conditioning, increasing your total strength, and just becoming a well-rounded athlete. So guys, hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know down below what you want to see next, and we will see you in the next one after you like it, subscribe, and ring that bell.